This is Watch Me, a tower building game where you're trying to outfox your opponents. I'm Ellie Dix, the designer of Watch Me, a dexterity bidding game for 2 to 5 players, age 8 and up, that plays in around 30 minutes. Watch Me consists of a set of challenge cards, some coins or gems, I'm using gems, a 30-second timer, some screens, and an identical set of wooden components for each player. Now, my components that I've got are a bit too straightforward. They've got too many flat sides, making things too easy to stack. Ideally, what we want are some irregular components or some more interesting 3D shapes like cones, a hemisphere, maybe a square-based pyramid or two thrown in as well. On each round, you're going to flip over a challenge card. The challenge card shows some combination of components that must be used in the tower. So this one requires that you place a meeple on top of a bridge in that configuration somewhere in your tower. And this one wants you to have these 3 different components in this orientation, in this order, somewhere in your tower, but you can put other components in between. Firstly, the active player must decide how many components they will use in their tower. Importantly, they're not allowed to test out how the components are stacking together at this point. They want to make the challenge just about doable, but still pretty tricky. Now the active player constructs the tower within 30 seconds, meeting the condition on the challenge card. If they fail, all other players receive the number of gems shown on the card, and the round ends. But if the player succeeds, all the other players have now got an opportunity to outdo them. They're each going to build their own tower that must meet the conditions on the challenge card and also within 30 seconds. But they've got to use at least one more component than the active player has used in their tower. Each player must take part, but they each bid gems based on how confident they are that they'll succeed. They may bid 1 to 5 gems from behind their screen. Everybody reveals their bids simultaneously. If a player succeeds in outdoing the active player, they retain their bet and take an equal number of gems from the supply. If they fail, they must surrender their bid to the active player. Keep playing until each player has been the active player 3 or 4 times. Then the player with the most gems wins. So the trick here is for the active player to select exactly the right number of components so that they can just complete the challenge in 30 seconds. But that it's too difficult to complete a tower with just one more component in the same time frame. So that's Watch Me, a game that relies on your ability to predict how dexterous you're going to be. Will players be realistic about their own tower building ability, or will their bravado leave them looking at a pile of rubble?